Hi everyone, I'm Ming, and today I'm going to give you a tutorial on how do you install your new 10mm MLAstro Slit onto your existing SHG 700. So first thing first, you have to make sure for the 10mm slit you have a sensor, a camera sensor with the sensor width more than 10mm, and I'm recommending the MLAstro IMX 183. This is the sensor with the right pixel size, and the sensor width is about, I don't know, a little bit more than 13mm maybe, and it has the sufficient sensor length as well as the pixel size, and you have plenty of margin for alignment error. Okay, and here I have the 10mm slit, comparing to the 7mm slit. Here you can see that it has some modification. Okay, and for mounting this one into the slit, you should get the camera onto the SHG 700 and get it on a tripod pointing into the daylight sky. You can see that we have the spectral spread on the screen there, right? And let's get started. The first thing that you'll need is this 2.5mm Allen key. You can see it here, right? It is for removing the two M3 screw on the slit. We have it here, right? So I will just unscrew these two screws. Oh, and remember to remove the 4M4 screw holding the M42 adapter, so you have easier access to the slit. Okay, so we'll remove that by unscrewing those screws, and then take out the whole slit assembly. Remember, you unscrew this screw, not the screw holding the slit itself. Okay, so you set it aside and you bring in the 10mm slit. Okay, before installing, please take note of the orientation of this slit. The long edge of the slit always point to the micrometer of the SHG like this. Okay, and since the slit is tilt mounted like this, right, the tilted side is pointing to the camera like this. Okay, you can install it this way, it doesn't matter, but I prefer it this way. Okay, so if you have a guide cube, you can install the guide cube and have the guide camera pointing this side. Okay, all right, so I put the old screw, just the screw that you just removed from the the slit assembly earlier, right, and you put it in like this, and you just start to screw it in. Just a few revolutions. Okay, do not tighten the screw just yet. Okay, make sure that you have the slit movable like this. Okay, and now we will look at the live view here, right? You can see that the slit is designed so that the focus, the collimator focus, and the absorption line focus is relatively unchanged. You just use the reticle here, and you try to straighten out this absorption line here. Make sure that the two ends of the absorption line is resting on a horizontal line like that. Okay, and then we tighten it. Okay, and we tighten those screws. Okay, let's check once more. Make sure that we have all the slit visible. Make sure that you can see both ends of the slit, right? If the slit is, not centered, you can loosen those screws and move the slit side by side like this, okay? It has about 1 millimeter travel range, and you can center the absorption line like that. But, it's not a requirement to have the absorption line and the spectral spread perfectly, centered. You can, as long as you can see both ends of the slit here and here, you are good to go. Okay, and make sure that you have this line horizontal. I think we have it a little bit off here, so I will make the adjustment again. Okay, the adjustment takes some getting used to, but okay, that is good enough. There's no need to, get it perfectly horizontal. The software can compensate for any, tilt in the absorption line. You only need to get it horizontal to make sure that the RI that you use when capture is narrowest, and the file size will be manageable. Okay. Now let's do some stretching. Make sure that we have the absorption line horizontal. Okay. And next step that I would want to do is that I would want to check the collimator focus once again, because as I said earlier, the slit is designed so that the focus is relatively unchanged, but it is still a good idea to check for the collimator focus by looking at the the edge of the absorption line of the spectral spread here. Okay, make sure that edge is sharp. Okay, and then I will refocus the absorption line at the middle of the slit. So you have to take note that since the slit is longer, there will be some field curvature that makes the focus between the middle of the slit and the edge of the slit here different a little bit. Okay, so the absorption line should be focused at the middle of the slit, like here, right? Okay, I think I got pretty good focus here. Okay, so that is how you get the 10mm slit onto the SHG 700, and you can put this setup onto the telescope, and there you have it. The slit is now ready to go. Okay, so this camera, the MLAstro IMX 183, it is a version of the TubeTech IMX 183. Okay, just a rebranded TubeTech, and we have it priced relatively competitive. It has a tech cooler, and it will get the sensor down minus 35 degrees below ambient, and you need the AC, the DC 12 volt power source here for the camera to turn on. You have the USB hub, and everything else can connect to this one, like the filter wheel. You can use this one for nighttime spectroscopy also. Okay, so highly recommended. This one will cost $850 on MLAstro, so about 15% cheaper than the competitor. Okay, so one of the other things that you have to take note when using the 10mm with the slit with the SHG 700 is how you focus the SHG 700. Okay, So for the 7mm, I recommend to focus on the edge of the slit, which is here. You can see the edge of the slit here, but you can see on this particular case, I have the edge a little bit out of focus, slightly out of focus here, right? You can see it, it's a little blurry here, right? The reason is that instead of focusing on the edge of the slit, I instead focus the collimator on 1/3 of the slit around here, right? You can see that I have a very small dust line here, and I use that as a collimator focus cue. Okay, I focus on this dust here instead. Why is that? Because due to the length of the slit, we have a field curvature from the edge of the slit to the middle. Okay, so if you are focusing on the edge of the slit here, you will be slightly out of focus in the middle of the slit, and vice versa. So focusing about 1/3 of the slit will get you really reasonably in focus both in the edge and the center of the disc. Similarly, and as you can see, I am also focused the absorption line at the middle of the slit here. You can see that it has the double line here is very well contrast, and it's separated very good. Okay, so that is an indicator of the good focus, and you can see that I am doing the focus at about 1/3 of the slit. Okay, from either side you can focus on this side in or this side in. Okay. Okay, so that is how you use the 10mm slit, and how you focus the 10mm slit. For the 10mm slit, you will experience some vignetting on the side of the disc here, right? So it is provided as an optional accessory, not a recommended accessory. It's only for user who want to experiment, and anyone who purchase these should know completely well what they are getting into. Okay, so let's see how the SHG 700 with the 10mm slit working on a 1000mm telescope. Okay, this image is taken with a 10mm slit mounted on the SHG 700 with a Takahashi TOA 130, which is a 1000mm focal length. So it is a pretty extreme example of what we can achieve with the 10mm slit here. Okay, so you can see that there are a lot of vignetting on the north and south pole here, right? You can see that we have reduced sharpness in the north and south pole here, which is due to the field curvature. I have pretty good seeing on this session. The sharpness in the middle of the disc is pretty good, right? But the sharpness in the edge of the disc is pretty bad, okay, because of the field curvature of the optics, and there's nothing we can do about it. All right, so now let's try correcting the vignetting with the artificial flat correction. This method will work well for scope, shorter than 850 millimeter. However, on longer telescope like 900 millimeter or 1000 millimeter, the artificial flat correction will not work as well. Okay, you can see that the artificial flat does help a little bit, right? But it still leaves significant vignetting on the edges here, right? So for telescope longer than 900 millimeters or 850 millimeters on the 10mm slit, right? You need the physical flat correction, and this is how you do it. Okay, so before doing the flat, you have to make sure that the sun disk is at the widest and you center it in the FOV like this. Okay, secondly, you'll need a flat panel. I'm sorry for this dirty flat panel. You can use a simple matte book cover. I use a matte book cover. You can buy this on Amazon for very cheaply. It's just one and a few dollars for 20 sheet. Okay, so you can DIY a mechanism that allows you to attach the flat onto the telescope, but I just laid it on the front aperture. Okay, and let's go back inside, see how the, and one of the other thing is that you have to make sure that the flat is covering the whole of your aperture. Okay, do not leave any part of the hood opening not covered by the flat. You have might have light leak that way. Okay, all right, that's good. And since we have the diffuser on, for my particular diffuser, I usually have to use 5-second exposure, so about 1,000-fold of exposure increase. Right, I have to pick the fits, very important. Okay, do not forget this because JSOLEC only accept fits file as flat. Okay, do not forget that. Okay, untick this and start capture again. So we are capturing the last frame, and the flat is created. Okay, before we begin, let's make sure that in the pre-processing here, the flat is none. Okay, if you have a flat selected here, you have to make it change it to none. Okay, and if you change the RI or adding anything into the optical chain, or you move the wavelength using the micrometer, the rating micrometer, then you have to retake the flat. Okay. So now that we have the flat, let's remove the flat cap, just like that. Okay. Okay, so after capturing a flat, you can see that the flat file is now in the master flat folder here, right? It's shown as the master flat 1031, and you have to make sure that the extension of the flat file fits, right? JSOLEX only accept fits file at flat. Okay, so if you have other kind of flat file, PNG or something else, or JPEG, it won't work for JSOLEX. Okay, so now I will open the capture file I had before. I will pick the physical flat correction in the image enhancement, and it will let me choose the flat file. There are some notice that Cedric put into the flat selector, and it explains how do you capture the flat. Take some time to read this. Okay, you select the flat here, right, and then you open it. Okay, and let's do a quick mode. Okay, you can instantly see that the flat file is working. This is brightness uniformity, the big gradient vignetting on the two pole is gone, right? You got a very nice and even disc, right? Okay, very nice indeed. Okay. Okay, it works, and I think we have a pretty good and even this here, right? You can still see that we have some, blurriness in the pole here, right? But that is due to the field curvature of the optics, both the telescope and the SHG, and there's nothing we can do about it. Okay, but overall it is a very pleasant image. Okay, and yeah, so there you have it. The 10mm slit has a lot of limitation, and once again, if you choose to get it, you have to make sure that you're aware of all the limitation is that varies with the 10mm slit. Okay, the standard recommended configuration of the SHG 700 is still with the 7mm slit. The 10mm slit is only meant for people who want to experiment, push their gears to some extreme performance, and it is not recommended for anyone. Okay, thank you for watching, and I hope this explain how do you replace the slit, how do you create an image, and how do you take the physical flap for the SHG 700. And I hope you have a good grasp of what the 10mm slit is. If you still want to order it, please head into the order link I leave down in the description of this video. Once again, thank you. Thanks everyone for your time, and I'll see you again.